Question 1. Ownership and repatriation of cultural property. In a case where multiple parties have different objectives regarding the ownership of a disputed cultural artifact, courts often rely on provenance research to determine its rightful owner. Suppose a museum in the United States acquired an ancient Greek statue from a private collector in the 1970s. Recently, Greece has presented evidence that the statue was illegally excavated and smuggled out of the country in violation of its heritage laws. Which legal principle is most relevant in determining whether the museum must return the artifact? A. Bona fide purchaser doctrine. The museum acquired the statue in good faith, making it the lawful owner. B. National patrimony laws. Greece's claim is valid because its domestic laws declare such antiquities state-owned, regardless of where they are found. C. Statute of limitations. The museum has possessed the artifact for over 50 years, so the claim is barred by time limits. D. Commercial law of contracts. The sale is valid, and the museum has legally enforceable contract of purchase. Answer B. National patrimony laws. Greece's claim is valid because its domestic laws declare such antiquities state-owned regardless of where they are found. Legal explanation. National patrimony laws, such as Greece's Law 5350 and 1932, established that antiquities found within countries' borders are state property and cannot be lawfully exported without government permission. Many nations, including Greece, ratified the 1970 UNESCO Convention, which obligates signatories to prevent the illicit import and export of cultural artifacts. Courts have frequently ruled in favor of repatriation when there is proof of illegal excavation, such as in the case of United States v. An Antique Platter of Gold 1999. Minate. The bona fide purchaser doctrine does not protect buyers of stolen cultural property under international conventions such as Unidroit 1995, which allows for restitution even if the current holder acted in good faith. Why not? C. Many jurisdictions, including New York, have extended or waived statutes of limitations in cultural property cases, especially when items were obtained through illicit means. Why not? D. Legal sale does not override claims based on illegal export, especially under international heritage laws. Question 2. Art theft, fraud, and illicit trafficking. While investigating a complicated issue between different jurisdictions regarding a stolen painting, law enforcement discovers that an artwork looted from a Jewish family during World War II now in the possession of a private collector in Switzerland. The original owner's descendants file claim for restitution, but the Swiss collector insists that they purchased the painting in good faith. Reputable auction house 20 years ago. Which of the following is the strongest legal basis for the family's claim? A. The National Stolen Property Act, NSPA. U.S. law prohibits the sale of stolen goods in interstate commerce, and courts may apply its principles internationally. B. The Washington Principles on Nazi Confiscated Art, 1990. Non-binding international agreement encourages nations and collectors to return Nazi-looted art. C. The Swiss Civil Code on Good Faith Acquisition. Swiss law protects good faith buyers from claims of prior ownership, making restitution impossible. D. The Entrustment Rule. Under U.S. commercial law, buyer in the ordinary course of business has superior title over an earlier owner. Answer B. The Washington Principles on Nazi Confiscated Art, 1998. Non-binding international agreement encourages nations and collectors to return Nazi-looted art. Legal explanation. The Washington Principles on Nazi Confiscated Art, 1998, provide framework for resolving claims involving artwork looted by the Nazis. While not legally binding, they have been widely adopted by governments, museums, auction houses as guideline for restitution. Courts and arbitration panels have referenced them in major cases, such as Republic of Austria v. Ullmann, 2004, which led to the return of Gustav Klimt's paintings. Why not? A. The NSPA applies primarily within the US and regulates stolen goods in commerce. However, international cases are often governed by other legal frameworks. Why not? C. While Switzerland has protective laws for good faith buyers, Nazi-looted art cases have been exceptions, as seen in recent Swiss restitutions under the Bern Art Museum Agreement. Why not? D. The Entrustment Rule applies to commercial transactions but does not override claims to property stolen under international law. Question 3. Museums, collectors, and cultural institutions. During the introduction of new methods where coordination is required between museums and governments, an international museum acquires a collection of indigenous artifacts from A private dealer, a tribal nation, claims these artifacts as sacred and demands their return under the Native American Grave Protection and Repatriation Act, NAGPRA. The museum argues that the acquisition was an outside U.S. jurisdiction. What legal doctrine is most likely to determine the rightful ownership of the artifacts? A. Public trust doctrine. Museums hold cultural artifacts in trust for the public, and that deaccessioning must align with ethical standards. B. The 1990 Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, NAGPRA. U.S. law requires institutions receiving federal funds to return sacred objects and human remains to affiliated tribes. C. The first sale doctrine. Legal buyer of an artifact has unrestricted right to keep, sell, or display it. D. The doctrine of lashes. If the tribe waited too long to assert its claim, the museum's title may be upheld. Answer: B. The 1990 Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, NAGPRA. U.S. law requires institutions receiving federal funds to return sacred objects and human remains to affiliated tribes. Legal explanation: NAGPRA 1990 requires U.S. museums and federal agencies to return sacred objects, funerary items, and human remains to Native American tribes and lineal descendants. The Act applies to institutions that receive federal funding, regardless of how artifacts were obtained. Cases like the Kennewick Man case, 2004, have reinforced the law's scope in protecting indigenous heritage. Why not they? The public trust doctrine applies broadly to natural and cultural resources held by governments but does not provide direct legal claim for repatriation. Why not? C. The first sale doctrine protects buyers in commercial transactions but does not override repatriation laws like NAGPRA. Why not? D. Lashes delayed claims is legal defense but is rarely applied in cases involving cultural heritage and indigenous rights, particularly when laws like NAGPRA create affirmative repatriation obligations. Question 4. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges arise in determining the ownership of cultural artifacts, a dispute emerges between a private collector and a national government over an ancient sculpture. The collector, who purchased the artifact from an international auction house, claims legal ownership based on a valid bill of sale. However, the government asserts that the sculpture was illegally excavated and exported in violation of its heritage laws. The auction house conducted due diligence but failed to uncover any documented provenance prior to the 1950s. Under international law, what legal principle is most likely to apply to this case? A. Lex situs, which dictates that ownership is determined by the law of the place where the object is currently located. B. Good faith acquisition, which protects the rights of a buyer who purchases an object without knowledge of any legal defects in title. C. Retroactive application of cultural property laws, which allows a country to reclaim artifacts regardless of when they were removed. D. National patrimony laws, which recognize a sovereign right to cultural property within its borders and restrict unauthorized exportation. Answer: D. National patrimony laws, which recognize a country's sovereign right to cultural property within its borders and restrict unauthorized exportation. Explanation: this scenario involves the conflict between private ownership rights and nation's legal claim to its cultural heritage. The 1954 Hague Convention, the 1970 UNESCO Convention, and various national patrimony laws establish that cultural property belonging to may not be exported without government authorization. Lex situs applies in general property disputes, but cultural heritage law often overrides this principle when dealing with illicitly removed artifacts. Good faith acquisition, B, is recognized in some jurisdictions but does not supersede laws prohibiting the removal and sale of national heritage items. The Unidroit Convention, 1995, specifically rejects the idea good faith purchaser automatically obtains legal ownership. A retroactive application, C, is generally not principle of international law. Most laws are not applied retroactively unless explicitly stated. Therefore, the government's claim is strongest under national patrimony laws, which prevent unauthorized removal of cultural property and often allow for restitution claims. Question 5. While investigating a complicated issue between different nations regarding Nazi-looted art, a museum finds itself caught between the demands of the descendants of a Holocaust survivor and the legal rights of a current private owner. The artwork in question was stolen from a Jewish family during World War I and later acquired by a collector who had no knowledge of its history. The museum, which is temporarily holding for exhibition, faces legal and ethical challenges regarding its return. Which legal principle is most relevant in determining the rightful ownership? A statute of limitations, which bars claims after a certain period has elapsed. B. Restitution doctrine, which allows for the return of stolen cultural property despite subsequent sales. C. Market overt rule, which states that a purchase in good faith in an open market confers valid title. D. Bona fide purchaser protection, which shields an innocent buyer from restitution claims. Answer: B. Restitution doctrine, which allows for the return of stolen cultural property despite subsequent sales. Explanation: the restitution doctrine is central to cases involving Nazi-looted art. International agreements such as the 1998 Washington Principles on Nazi-confiscated art and subsequent European and U.S. case law emphasize that art stolen during the Holocaust should be returned to its rightful owners or their heirs, regardless of how many times it has changed hands. The statute of limitations may prevent legal claims after a certain period, but many jurisdictions have created exceptions for Holocaust-era looted art. Market overt rule C applies in limited circumstances, e.g. historical English common law, but has been rejected in art restitution cases. Bona fide purchaser protection D does not typically override claims for stolen art, as the principle of nemo dat quod non habet, one cannot give what one does not have, applies, meaning stolen property remains stolen regardless of subsequent transactions. Thus, the restitution doctrine is the most relevant legal principle in this scenario. Question 6. During a major transformation where existing methods of cultural heritage protection are being revised, international legal bodies debate the inclusion of digital replicas in cultural property laws. The government proposes that 3D scans and virtual reconstructions of heritage sites should be protected under the same legal framework as physical artifacts. Critics argue that these digital replicas do not meet the definition of tangible cultural property. Which legal framework would be the most appropriate for resolving this issue? A. The 1970 UNESCO Convention, which governs the illicit trade of cultural objects. B. The Berne Convention, which protects literary and artistic works, including digital media. C. The 1954 Hague Convention, which applies to tangible cultural heritage in armed conflict. D. The Unidroit Convention, which focuses on stolen and illegally exported cultural objects. Answer: B. The Berne Convention, which protects literary and artistic works, including digital media. Explanation: the Berne Convention for the Protection of Literary and Artistic Works, 1886, governs copyright protections, including digital reproductions. While traditional cultural property laws focus on tangible objects, digital heritage is increasingly recognized under intellectual property law. The 1970 UNESCO Convention addresses the physical illicit trade of cultural artifacts but does not cover digital replicas. The 1954 Hague Convention C applies only to physical cultural heritage in conflict zones. The Unidroit Convention D deals with physical stolen objects rather than digital copies. Thus, the Berne Convention is the most relevant framework for protecting digital cultural heritage. Question 7. Amid growing concerns over the destruction of archaeological sites due to urban development, a government decides to impose strict preservation laws. Developers argue that these regulations infringe on their property rights and economic interests. Which legal principle is most relevant in balancing the need for cultural heritage protection and property rights? A. Eminent domain, which allows the government to take private property for public use with compensation. B. The precautionary principle, which requires measures to prevent harm even in the absence of full scientific certainty. C. Public trust doctrine, which holds that certain cultural and environmental resources belong to the public and must be preserved. D. Free market doctrine, which asserts that private property owners should have full control of land and its development. Answer: C. Public trust doctrine, which holds that certain cultural and environmental resources belong to the public and must be preserved. Explanation: the public trust doctrine is a legal principle that mandates governments to protect and preserve certain resources for public use, including cultural heritage. Courts have increasingly recognized that archaeological sites and historic landmarks fall under this doctrine, meaning that private rights must sometimes yield to the public interest in cultural preservation. Eminent domain is a mechanism for the government to acquire private land, but does not directly address preservation without full ownership transfer. The precautionary principle B applies mainly to environmental regulation rather than property law. Free market doctrine D emphasizes individual property rights, but most legal systems impose limits on development to protect cultural sites. Thus, the public trust doctrine is the appropriate legal framework for balancing cultural preservation with property rights. Question 8. Given the rapid expansion of the global art market, concerns arise regarding the ethical responsibilities of museums acquiring artifacts with uncertain provenance. A renowned museum receives an offer to purchase an ancient manuscript, but its ownership history is incomplete, with gaps between 1940 and 1950. Which ethical guidelines should the museum follow before making a purchase? A. Due diligence standards, requiring thorough research on the artifact's provenance before acquisition. B. Buyer beware principle, which places responsibility on the seller rather than the buyer to ensure legitimacy. C. The first in time, first in right rule, which grants ownership to the earliest documented possessor. D. Statute of frauds, which mandates that contracts for valuable goods be in writing to be enforceable. Answer A. Due diligence standards, requiring thorough research on the artifact's provenance before acquisition. Explanation. Museums are expected to follow due diligence standards as outlined in ICOM, International Council of Museums Guidelines, and the UNESCO Code of Ethics for Museums. This means they must thoroughly investigate the provenance of an artifact to ensure it was not stolen, looted, or acquired through unethical means. Buyer beware. B. Commercial principle but is not valid defense in cases of illicit artifacts. First in time, first in right. C. Is legal principle in some property disputes but does not apply when dealing with potentially stolen cultural objects. Statute of frauds. D. Governs contract enforcement but does not address ethical concerns about provenance. Thus, due diligence standards are essential for ethical museum acquisitions. Question 9. In an unprecedented event where a shipwreck containing valuable artifacts is discovered in international waters, a conflict arises between multiple nations, treasure hunters, and cultural heritage organizations. Which legal framework best determines the ownership and protection of such underwater cultural heritage? A. The 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. B. The salvage law, which allows finders to claim ownership of recovered items. C. The doctrine of discovery, which grants ownership based on first contact with the site. D. The free use principle, which permits anyone to exploit resources in international waters. Answer A. The 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. Explanation. UNCLOS establishes guidelines for the protection of underwater cultural heritage, particularly in international waters. It states that sovereign nations and international organizations must work together to protect shipwrecks and prevent unauthorized salvage operations. Salvage law B applies to modern shipwrecks but does not override cultural protections. Doctrine of discovery C is an outdated legal principle and does not apply to international maritime law. Free use principle D does not extend to cultural heritage as it would enable unrestricted looting of historical sites. Thus, UNCLOS is the most appropriate framework for addressing disputes over underwater cultural heritage. Question 10. While analyzing the root causes of sequential problems in a production line, engineers observe that minor delays in one stage amplify into larger inefficiencies across the system. To address this issue, they consider implementing a control mechanism that adjusts production speed dynamically based on demand. Which strategy best addresses this issue? A. Just-in-time JIT production, which minimizes inventory and ensures parts arrive precisely when needed. B. Six Sigma methodology, which focuses on reducing defects through statistical process control. C. Lean manufacturing principles, which aim to eliminate waste and optimize efficiency. D. Theory of constraints, TOC, which targets bottlenecks to improve overall system performance. Answer. D. Theory of constraints, TOC, which targets bottlenecks to improve overall system performance. Explanation. The theory of constraints, TOC, focuses on identifying the primary bottleneck in a system and optimizing it to improve overall performance. Since the observed issue involves minor delays escalating into significant inefficiencies, TOC provides a structured way to manage production flow by focusing on the constraint that affects the entire system. JIT is useful for inventory management but does not specifically address sequential delays. Six Sigma B reduces defects but is not designed for workflow optimization. Lean manufacturing C focuses broadly on waste reduction but lacks TOC's targeted approach to constraints. Thus, TOC is the most effective approach for managing cascading inefficiencies. Question 11. During a critical transition period where existing processes must be replaced with automated solutions, employees express concerns about adaptability and job security. What is the most effective strategy for ensuring a smooth transition while maintaining employee engagement? A. Mandate immediate training for all employees and enforce compliance. B. Introduce automation gradually with a phased implementation plan and continuous support. C. Outsource the transition process to an external firm to ensure rapid completion. D. Allow employees to choose whether or not to participate in the transition process. Answer: B. Introduce automation gradually with a phased implementation plan and continuous support. Explanation: a phased implementation plan helps employees adapt to changes, gradually reducing resistance and increasing acceptance. Providing continuous support ensures that employees receive the necessary training and resources to succeed in the new environment. Mandating immediate training without engagement strategies can cause resistance. Outsourcing C may speed up the process but often leads to a disconnect between employees and new systems. Allowing employees to opt out D would hinder full adoption and create inconsistencies. A well-planned, gradual implementation with proper support is the most effective approach. Question 12. In an environment where different components must interact efficiently, a software development team encounters compatibility issues between legacy systems and modern applications. Which strategy best addresses this challenge? A. Using middleware to bridge communication between legacy and modern systems. B. Replacing all legacy systems with modern solutions immediately. C. Developing separate applications that operate independently from legacy systems. D. Ignoring legacy systems and focusing only on new technology. Answer: A. Using middleware to bridge communication between legacy and modern systems. Explanation: middleware allows legacy systems and modern applications to communicate effectively, ensuring compatibility without requiring a full system overhaul. Replacing all legacy systems B. is costly and impractical for many organizations. Developing separate applications C. creates data silos and inefficiencies. Ignoring legacy systems D. Integration failures. Middleware provides a practical solution to maintain efficiency while modernizing infrastructure. Question 13. While investigating a complicated issue between different regional teams, management discovers that inconsistent data reporting is causing delays in decision-making. What is the best solution to ensure data accuracy and consistency? A. Centralizing data management through a standardized reporting system. B. Allowing each team to maintain its own data structure and format. C. Mandating manual verification of all data before submission. D. Relying on periodic audits to identify inconsistencies. Answer: A. Centralizing data management through a standardized reporting system. Explanation: a centralized reporting system ensures uniformity across all teams, reducing inconsistencies and improving decision-making efficiency. Allowing independent data formats. B. Leads to further inconsistencies. Manual verification. C. Is time-consuming and prone to human error. Periodic audits. D. Are reactive rather than proactive. A standard, centralized system is the most effective long-term solution. Question 14. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges arise simultaneously, a healthcare facility experiences an unexpected surge in patient intake. What is the most effective way to manage resource allocation under these conditions? A. Implementing a triage system to prioritize critical cases. B. Distributing resources equally among all patients. C. Delaying treatment until additional resources become available. D. Focusing only on the most severe cases and ignoring others. Answer: A. Implementing a triage system to prioritize critical cases. Explanation: a triage system ensures that the most critical patients receive immediate care while optimizing available resources. Distributing resources equally. B. May not address urgent needs effectively. Delaying treatment. C. Can lead to worsened patient outcomes. Focusing only on severe cases. D. Neglects treatable patients who also need care. Maximizes efficiency and patient survival. Question 15. When implementing new protocols in a shared environment, team members express difficulty adapting due to conflicting expectations. What is the best way to ensure alignment? A. Conduct regular training and feedback sessions. B. Punish non-compliance to enforce discipline. C. Allow teams to interpret the protocols individually. D. Reduce the complexity of the protocols, even if key elements are lost. Answer: A. Conduct regular training and feedback sessions. Explanation: training and feedback sessions help ensure team alignment by addressing concerns and reinforcing expectations. Punishing non-compliance. B. Creates fear but does not solve underlying confusion. allowing individual interpretations. C. Leads to inconsistencies, reducing complexity. D. May result in losing essential elements. Continuous education ensures long-term success. Question 16. In a situation where resource allocation becomes increasingly difficult due to shifting priorities, an organization must decide how to distribute limited funds across multiple departments. What is the most effective approach to ensure equitable and strategic allocation? A. Allocate resources equally among all departments regardless of performance. B. Use a performance-based budgeting system that rewards efficiency and impact. C. Cut funding from underperforming departments entirely to maximize high-performing areas. D. Distribute resources based on historical spending patterns without considering current needs. Answer. B. Use a performance-based budgeting system that rewards efficiency and impact. Explanation. A performance-based budgeting system ensures that funds are allocated efficiently by prioritizing areas with the highest impact. Equal allocation A does not account for differing needs and effectiveness, eliminating underperforming departments. C. May ignore potential areas for improvement, relying on past spending. D. Fails to address evolving priorities. A strategic, data-driven allocation ensures sustainability and fairness. Question 17. During a comprehensive review of a process that needs improvement, a company identifies inefficiencies in its supply chain that lead to delays and increased costs. What is the best solution to streamline operations? A. Implement real-time tracking and demand forecasting. B. Increase inventory stock to cover all possible shortages. C. Limit supplier choices to a single vendor to simplify logistics. D. Eliminate non-essential suppliers without reviewing impact. Answer A. Implement real-time tracking and demand forecasting. Explanation. Real-time tracking and demand forecasting improve supply chain efficiency by reducing delays and optimizing inventory. Stockpiling inventory. B. Increases costs and waste, relying on a single vendor. C. Creates risk if that vendor fails. Eliminating suppliers blindly. D. May disrupt essential operations. Using technology-driven solutions enhances flexibility and reduces inefficiencies. Question 18. While investigating a complicated issue between different teams in a multinational company, leadership finds that communication barriers are causing misunderstandings and project delays. What is the best way to improve collaboration? A. Standardize communication tools and protocols across all teams. B. Encourage each team to develop independent communication methods. C. Reduce inter-team communication to avoid confusion. D. Mandate the use of a single language for all interactions. Answer A. Standardize communication tools and protocols across all teams. Explanation. Standardizing communication tools and protocols ensures clarity, consistency, and improved collaboration across teams, allowing independent methods. B. Leads to further confusion, reducing communication. C. Worsens the problem. Mandating a single language. D. May exclude or disadvantage certain employees. A clear, standardized approach, seamless collaboration in a global environment. Question 19. When developing a solution that must address opposing needs, a project manager must balance cost efficiency with product quality. What is the best strategy to achieve this balance? A. Prioritize cost savings by using the cheapest available materials. B. Focus solely on quality, regardless of budget constraints. C. Conduct a cost-benefit analysis to find the optimal balance. D. Rely on past budgeting models without adjusting for new constraints. Answer. C. Conduct a cost-benefit analysis to find the optimal balance. Explanation. A cost-benefit analysis ensures that both cost efficiency and product quality are optimized based on data-driven decisions. Prioritizing cost savings. A. May compromise quality, focusing only on quality. B. Can make the product unaffordable, relying on outdated models. D. Ignores changing market conditions. A balanced analytical approach achieves the best outcome. Question 20. During an emergency response where multiple areas are impacted, crisis managers must decide how to distribute medical personnel effectively. What is the most effective approach? A. Deploy all available personnel to the hardest hit area. B. Use a dynamic allocation system that prioritizes critical cases. C. Distribute personnel evenly across all areas regardless of need. D. Wait for further reports before making any deployment decisions. Answer. B. Use a dynamic allocation system that prioritizes critical cases. Explanation. A dynamic allocation system ensures that the most urgent cases receive attention first, optimizing survival rates. Focusing on a single area neglects other critical cases. Even distribution C does not account for varying needs. Delaying deployment D can worsen the crisis. A data-driven, flexible response ensures the best possible outcomes. Question 21. In a scenario where efficiency decreases across multiple departments, leadership considers automating repetitive tasks. What is the best way to ensure successful automation? A. Identify high-impact repetitive tasks and introduce automation gradually. B. Automate all processes immediately to maximize efficiency. C. Rely solely on employee input to determine automation needs. D. Avoid automation due to potential resistance from staff. Answer A. Identify high-impact repetitive tasks and introduce automation gradually. Explanation. A gradual automation strategy ensures smooth adoption while minimizing resistance and risks. Full automation B can lead to errors and disruptions. Sole reliance on employee input C may miss opportunities. Avoiding automation D hinders progress. A structured, phased approach maximizes success. Question 22. While examining inconsistencies across various units in a company, analysts discover different interpretations of key policies. What is the best way to ensure uniform understanding? A. Develop a centralized policy documentation system. B. Allow each unit to maintain its own interpretation. C. Punish employees for policy misunderstandings. D. Avoid updating policies to maintain stability. Answer A. Develop a centralized policy documentation system. Explanation. A centralized system ensures consistency, accessibility, and clarity across all units. Independent interpretations. B. Create confusion. Punishing misunderstandings. C. Does not address root causes. Avoiding updates. D. Leads to outdated policies. A clear, structured policy framework ensures alignment. Question 23. When implementing backup procedures across various operational sites, managers must ensure system reliability. What is the best method to achieve this? A. Regularly test backup systems and update protocols as needed. B. Only implement backups for the most critical systems. C. Rely on a single backup location to simplify management. D. Perform backups only during emergencies. Answer A. Regularly test backup systems and update protocols as needed. Explanation. Regular testing and updates ensure reliability and preparedness in case of system failures. Focusing only on critical systems. B. Ignores other potential risks. Using a single backup location. C. Creates a vulnerability. Emergency-only backups. D. Leave systems unprotected. A proactive, comprehensive approach ensures operational continuity. Question 24. During a seamless transition where continuity must be maintained, a retail chain adopts a new inventory management system. What is the best way to ensure smooth implementation? A. Run the new system alongside the old one during a trial period. B. Immediately replace the old system with the new one. C. Train employees only after implementation is complete. D. Discontinue inventory tracking during the transition. Answer A. Run the new system alongside the old one during a trial period. Explanation. A parallel implementation minimizes risks and ensures smooth adaptation. Immediate replacement B. May cause disruptions. Delayed training C. Reduces efficiency. Discontinuing tracking D. Leads to operational chaos. A gradual, controlled approach ensures a seamless transition. Question 25. When evaluating a proposal that could impact long-term business strategy, a company must consider multiple financial and operational factors. What is the best approach to ensure a well-informed decision? A. Conduct a thorough cost-benefit analysis and assess long-term viability. B. Approve the proposal immediately to stay ahead of competitors. C. Reject the proposal if it requires a significant upfront investment. D. Base the decision solely on short-term profitability. Answer A. Conduct a thorough cost-benefit analysis and assess long-term viability. Explanation. A cost-benefit analysis helps businesses weigh financial impact, operational feasibility, and long-term benefits before making strategic decisions. Approving immediately B. Without analysis is risky. Rejecting due to high costs. C. May overlook long-term gains. Focusing only on short-term profits. D. Ignores sustainability. A data valuation ensures an informed, balanced decision. Question 26. While implementing a solution that must comply with new regulatory requirements, a financial institution faces challenges in aligning its internal policies. What is the most effective way to ensure compliance? A. Regularly review and update policies in accordance with regulatory changes. B. Maintain existing policies to avoid operational disruption. C. Wait until external audits highlight any compliance gaps. D. Rely solely on employees to monitor and report compliance issues. Answer A. Regularly review and update policies in accordance with regulatory changes. Explanation. Proactively updating policies ensures continued compliance, minimizes risk, and prevents penalties. Maintaining old policies. B. Creates compliance gaps. Waiting for audits. C. Is reactive and risky. Relying on employees. D. May result in inconsistent enforcement. A structured compliance framework ensures adherence to regulations. Question 27. During an important negotiation where both parties have conflicting interests, a business leader must find common ground. What is the most effective negotiation strategy? A. Focus on creating a win-win outcome through collaborative discussion. B. Use aggressive tactics to gain the upper hand. C. Stick to initial demands without compromise. D. Avoid negotiation and accept the other party's terms. Answer A. Focus on creating a win-win outcome through collaborative discussion. Explanation. A win-win approach ensures both parties benefit, leading to stronger business relationships and sustainable agreements. Aggressive tactics. B. Damage trust. Refusing compromise. C. Leads to deadlock. Accepting terms without negotiation. D. Weakens long-term positioning. Collaboration and flexibility result in mutually beneficial outcomes. Question 28. In a scenario where customer satisfaction scores are declining, a company must identify the root cause and take corrective action. What is the best approach? A. Analyze customer feedback and implement targeted improvements. B. Reduce interaction with customers to limit complaints. C. Offer discounts without addressing underlying issues. D. Disregard negative feedback and focus on new customers. Answer A. Analyze customer feedback and implement targeted improvements. Explanation. Customer feedback analysis helps identify service gaps and make meaningful improvements, enhancing satisfaction and loyalty. Reducing interaction. B. Ignores the issue. Offering discounts. C. Is a short-term fix. Ignoring feedback. D. Damages reputation. A proactive, data-driven approach builds long-term customer trust. Question 29. While assessing the effectiveness of a newly implemented digital transformation strategy, a company must measure key performance indicators, KPIs. What is the best way to evaluate success? A. Use measurable data, such as efficiency gains and customer engagement metrics. B. Rely on employee perceptions without data analysis. C. Evaluate success based solely on cost savings. D. Make changes without reviewing any performance data. Answer A. Use measurable data, such as efficiency gains and customer engagement metrics. Explanation. Tracking key performance indicators, KPIs ensures that efficiency, customer experience, and profitability are evaluated objectively. Employee perceptions. B. Are subjective, focusing only on cost savings. C. Ignores broader impact, making changes without data. D. Risks ineffective strategies. A data-driven assessment ensures strategic. Question 30. During an evaluation of a process that must be optimized for scalability, a technology company considers upgrading its infrastructure. What is the best approach? A. Invest in scalable, cloud-based solutions that allow flexibility. B. Maintain the current infrastructure to avoid costs. C. Only upgrade when the existing system completely fails. D. Implement large-scale changes without testing feasibility. Answer A. Invest in scalable, cloud-based solutions that allow flexibility. Explanation. Scalable cloud solutions ensure adaptability, cost efficiency, and long-term growth without major disruptions. Maintaining old systems. B. Limits growth, waiting for failure. C. Causes downtime. Implementing and tested changes. D. Introduces risks. A strategic, scalable approach ensures future-proof operations.